coinciding with the spring equinox. For 11 days, the other gods with a celestial status joined Marduk in a prescribed order. On the 12th day, each of the other gods departed to his own abode, and Marduk was left alone in his splendor. The parallel to the appearance of Marduk within the planetary system, his visit with the 11 other members of the solar system, and the separation on the 12th day, leaving the 12th god to go on asking of the gods, but in isolation from them, is obvious. The ceremonies of the New Year festival parallel the course of the 12th planet. The first 4 days, matching Marduk's passage by the first 4 planets Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn, were days of preparation. At the end of the 4th day, the rituals called for marking the appearance of the planet equal Jupiter within sight of Marduk. The celestial Marduk was nearing the place of the celestial battle. Symbolically, the high priest began reciting the epic of creation, the tale of that celestial battle. The night passed without sleep. When the tale of the celestial battle had been recited, and as the 5th day was breaking, the rituals called for the 12-fold proclamation of Marduk as the Lord, affirming that in the aftermath of the celestial battle there were now 12 members of the solar system. The recitations then named the 12 members of the solar system, and the 12 constellations of the zodiac. Sometime during the 5th day, the god Nabu, Marduk's son and heir, arrived by boat from his cult center, Borsibeth, but he entered Babylon's temple compound only on the 6th day, for by then Nabu was a member of the Babylonian pantheon of 12 and the planet assigned to him was Mars, the 6th planet. The book of Genesis informs us that in 6 days the heaven, and the earth, and all their host were completed. The Babylonian rituals commemorating the celestial events that resulted in the creation of the asteroid belt and Earth were also completed in the first 6 days of Nisan. On the 7th day, the festival turned its attention to Earth. Though details of the rituals on the 7th day are scarce, H. Frankfurt kingship and the gods believes that they involved an enactment by the gods, led by Nabu, of the liberation of Marduk from his imprisonment in the mountains of Lower Earth. Since texts have been found that detail epic struggles between Marduk and other claimants to the rulership of Earth, we can surmise that the events of the 7th day were a reenactment of Marduk's struggle for supremacy on Earth. The 7th, his initial defeats, and his final victory and usurpation of the powers. On the 8th day of the New Year festival in Babylon, Marduk, victorious on Earth as the forged Enuma Elish had made him in the heavens, received the supreme powers. Having bestowed them on Marduk, the gods, assisted by the king and populace, then embarked, on the 9th day, on a ritual procession that took Marduk from his house within the city's sacred precinct to the house of Akitu, somewhere outside the city. Marduk and the visiting 11 gods stayed there through the 11th day. On the 12th day, the gods dispersed to their various abodes, and the festival was over. Of the many aspects of the Babylonian festival that reveal its earlier Sumerian origins, one of the most significant was that which pertained to the house of Akitu. Several studies, such as the Babylonian Akitu festival by Palace, have established that this house was featured in religious ceremonies in Sumer as early as the 3rd millennium BC. The essence of the ceremony was a holy/procession that saw the reigning god leave his abode or/temple and go via several stations to a place well out Jattown. A special ship, a divine boat, was used for the purpose. Then the god, successful in whatever his mission was at the Akit house, returned to the city's key by the same divine boat, and retraced his course back to the temple amid feasting and rejoicing by the king and populace. The Sumerian term Akit, from which the Babylonian Aktu derived, literally meant build on earth life. This, coupled with the various aspects of the mysterious journey, leads us to conclude that the procession symbolized the hazardous but successful voyage of the Nephilim from their abode to the 7th planet, Earth. Excavations conducted over some 20 years on the site of ancient Babylon, brilliantly correlated with Babylonian ritual texts, enabled teams of scholars led by F. Wetzel and F. H. Weisbach das Hauptdialektum des Marduks in Babylon to reconstruct the holy precinct of Marduk, the architectural features of his ziggurat, and the processional way, portions of which were erected at the Museum of the Ancient Near East in East Berlin. The symbolic names of the 7 stations and the epithet of Marduk at each station were given in both Akkadian and Sumerian, attesting both to the antiquity and to the Sumerian origins of the procession and its symbolism. The first station of Marduk, at which his epithet was ruler of the heavens, was named House of Holiness in Akkadian and House of Bright Waters in Sumerian. The god's epithet at the second station is illegible. The station itself was named Where the Field Separates. The partly mutilated name of the third station began with the words location facing the planet, and the god's epithet there changed to Lord of Poured Out Fire. The fourth station was called Holy Place of Destinies, and Marduk was called Lord of the Storm, of the Waters of Anunnaki. The fifth station appeared less turbulent. It was named the Roadway, and Marduk assumed the title Where the Shepherds Were to Pierce. Smoother sailing was also indicated at the sixth station, called the Traveler's Ship, where Marduk's epithet changed to God of the Marked Out Gateway. The seventh station was the Bidakitu House, a building life on Earth. There, Marduk took the title God of the House of Resting. It is our contention that the 7 stations in the procession of Marduk represented the space strip of the Nephilim, from their planet to Earth, that the first station, the House of Bright Waters, represented the passage by Pluto, the second where the field separates was Neptune, the third, Uranus, the fourth, a place of celestial storms, Saturn. The fifth, where the roadway became clear, where the shepherds were to pierce, was Jupiter. The sixth, where the journey switched to the traveler's ship, was Mars, and the seventh station was Earth, the end of the journey, where Marduk provided the House of Resting, the God's house, a building life on Earth. How did the Aeronautics and Space Administration of the Nephilim view the solar system in terms of the space flight to Earth? Logically, and in fact, they viewed the system in 2 parts. The one zone of concern was the zone of flight, which embraced the space occupied by the 7 planets extending from Pluto to Earth. The second group, beyond the zone of navigation, was made up of 4 celestial bodies, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, and the Sunday. In astronomy and divine genealogy, the 2 groups were considered separate. Genealogically, Sun as the Moon was the head of the group of the 4. Shamash as the Sun was his son, and Ishtar Venus, his daughter. Adad, as Mercury, was the uncle, Sin's brother, who always kept company with his nephew Shamash, and especially with his niece Ishtar. The 7, on the other hand, were lumped together in texts dealing with the affairs of both gods and men, and with celestial events. They were the 7 who judge, 7 emissaries of Anu, their king, and it was after them that the number 7 was consecrated. There were 7 olden cities. Cities had 7 gates. Gates had 7 bolts. Blessings called for 7 years of plenty. Curses for famines and plagues lasting 7 years. Divine weddings were celebrated by 7 days of lovemaking, and so on and on. During solemn ceremonies, like those that accompanied the rare visits to Earth by Anu and his consort, the deities representing the 7 planets were assigned certain positions and ceremonial robes, while the 4 were treated as a separate group. For example, ancient rules of protocol state that the deities Adad, Sin, Shamash, and Ishtar shall be seated in the court until daybreak. In the skies, each group was supposed to stay in its own celestial zone, and the Sumerians assumed that there was a celestial bar keeping the 2 groups apart. An important astral mythological text, according to Jeremiah's the Old Testament, in the light of the ancient Near East, deals with some remarkable celestial event, when the 7 stormed in upon the celestial bar. In this upheaval, which apparently was an unusual alignment of the 7 planets, they made allies of the hero Shamash the Sun, and of the valiant Adad Mercury, meaning, perhaps, that all exerted a gravitational pull in a single direction. At the same time, Ishtar, seeking a glorious dwelling place with Anu, strove to become Queen of Heaven. Venus was somehow shifting its location to a more glorious dwelling place. The greatest effect was on Sun the Moon. The 7 who fear not the laws, the light giver Sin had violently besieged. According to this text, the appearance of the 12th planet saved the darkened moon, and made it shine forth in the heavens once again. The 4 were located in a celestial zone the Sumerians termed Gyr, celestial waters, where rockets are confused, confusion of spacecraft, or ULE band of confusion. These puzzling terms make sense once we realize that the Nephilim considered the heavens of the solar system in terms of their space travel. Only recently, the engineers of